diabolical administrative system, issues with accommodation and NSFAS are some of the grievances that the students here at UNISA say is one of the reasons why they've decided to bring a shutdown to the campus. Now, this is all way ahead of the beginning of the academic year that is just upon us. Now, police are also in high presence monitoring the situation. Now, as expressions, we chat to some of these students. Follow me. What are some of your grievances as students?
We have quite a lot. Together with the National SRC, we have drafted a memorandum of 6 points. But in summary, those points include the issue of students who are doing higher certificate, which is a prerequisite to enter into a degree or a diploma. Now, those students are told that there is no space after they were promised that if you do this certificate, you then qualify for the degree or diploma. But now we are fighting that issue of saying that no, these students were promised this, we must deliver on our promise. And then secondly, there's a number of 120,000 plus students who are being rejected also on the basis of space. Whereas we know that the capacity of UNISA is 400,000, and as we speak now with the intake, we are way below that 400,000. So we're arguing to say that all the students who had applied and were rejected on the basis of space must be given an opportunity to study. Remember, education is not a privilege, it is a right. And the minute you turn away a student from the doors of education, you are sending that student out there to say panda. Basically, when we panda, we do different things.
We have said to the university, why do you then say to students they must apply? Ne? You say they must apply, but you know that you do not have space. So you take their 100 rands, but you know that you're not going to give them the opportunity to study. In other universities, they would say, we are going to have 10,000 students, and we only have 10,000, we have a capacity of 10,000 students that are going to enter. So if students go over 10,000, those will be rejected. So in this university, there's no proper management to say that we're going to have this number of students. And we've been saying to management, deal with this issue. That is the reason why you have this issue that is repeating itself. And I know people have been asking, why is that every January you have the same issue?
Students, they're making their voices heard. And on that note, we want to say hello, Dumelang Sanbonani, South Africa. Welcome to Expressions. This is your #1 current affairs show here on SABC, and this is the place for you to air your views. I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
I'm your host, Umqolisi Masango. Now we're coming to you live from our headquarters in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. Is higher education failing to meet idingo zabafundi?
Well, that's a very important conversation that we're going to be tackling tonight, because year in and year out, tertiary admissions, registrations and lack of funding continue to pose a serious challenge for students. Now, last week, a protest by disgruntled students broke out at the University of South Africa, UNISA, during registration. Even though order was restored, students vowed that if their demands are not met, they will stage another shutdown. Now, some of their demands include allowing students to have completed higher certificates in 2018 to register in January 2019. Now, students also rejected the fee increment by the institution.
Well, and the issues faced by abafundi base UNISA are not unique but common in most institutions of higher learning. What are the challenges faced by students? See Expressions. Now, we took to the streets, what is indeed at the heart of this issue. Do take a look at this.
Friday, I was here to register one module that is left. What I was told inside the university, that my certificate, my matric certificate, is not the same with the certificate they've got in the system. So I must bring my certificate because I was not supposed to do a degree. So I said, but I've already enrolled 39 modules. I've already passed those modules. How come now? Because I'm finishing. So they said, no, they want to see my certificate because their certificate on the system and my certificate that I've got are not the same.
This is supposed to be my final year. I'm doing my BTech in consumer science, and then I thought it's just a technical error. Then I decided I should come to campus. When I got here, it was just shut down and no explanations from the management.
This year, when I have to register to continue with the degree, where the system just says I've been excluded from further studies, and it doesn't even give an explanation why.
I've applied for PGCE, and I had an offer on the 6th of September. 3 days later, I was told that I received a letter that says waiting for placement. When I came here to inquire about these 2 letters, I was told to wait until all the applications are processed. Then when I came back later on, they said that I cannot be offered a space because it's full. So the system it's full of errors.
We're from Limpopo and then we're interested in coming to study here. So we just want to know when the application are going to open. Like, we've wasted our money to come here.
So right now, I don't know whether where am I supposed to go when I applied earlier and there's no first time, first serve here.
Clearly lots of challenges that students are facing in the year of 2019 in terms of the registration. But we're going to unpack this issue, and to help me discuss this issue a little bit further, I'm joined by Amukelani Ngwenya, who is the SRC National Undergrad Officer, and I'm also joined by Mcebo Dlamini, who is a student activist, the face of Fees Must Fall. Gentlemen, welcome to Expressions.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks for having us here.
Great. And of course, the viewers, you know I never do this by myself. Makoz Mkolisi is going to be manning our social media corner, bringing some of your insights and perspectives. Make sure you go into that Facebook, so that we can share some of the insights that you have on this issue. Guys, let's get straight into it. And I think, let me just start with you. You know, I know that you are responsible for the portfolio dealing with the grievances and challenges of undergrad. We want to understand, help us to understand, why did you guys choose this particular course of action in terms of shutdown? We heard what your grievances are, but what were you hoping to achieve by shutting the institution?
No, thanks a lot. Let me take this opportunity and extend our revolutionary greetings to the people at home and to UNISA students. I think the time that we are living under on, it's a time that we need to set a tone as a leadership. And what we did as a UNISA student, we had a courage to set things right at this moment, to ensure that we open doors to students who were denied an access by the University of South Africa by excluding them when they've applied and they qualify to be UNISA student. And we said that it will not happen under our watch, because, and as much as we understand that education on its own cannot change society, but society can be changed by education. What do they mean when they say they exclude our students? They are simply saying our students, they must become potential criminals, and that will not allow it. We are saying that doors of education must be open to everybody. That is why we've advocated that as the National SRC of UNISA, to say our students must be allowed an opportunity to enroll with our University of South Africa.
And I think for the viewers at home are probably wondering what's happened to at least a representative from the Department of Education. As the show, we had extended the invite to them, and unfortunately they could not make it and they rejected the offer. It seems, Mcebo, that some of the issues that you guys were fighting for in terms of Fees Must Fall are still happening. They're still recurring. Now, we know that December 2017, there was a huge announcement to say that free education for all, yet we're still having the same issues. I mean, talk to us a little bit about that, to tell us what's happened. What's happened to free education for students?
Well, look, what you have just said now speaks to the same issues that you were raising. That the problems of our basic and higher education are structural. We inherited a system of education that was anti-black. We never tampered with the situation. We never changed it. We only said that those who have money can now go to white schools. They can now go to swimming pools with white people. But the system itself is still anti-black, because if you raise the issues of UNISA, the influx of the black students who are now making it, UNISA was never ready for the high numbers. So our government is caught, off guard yet again. It's the same problems that UJ has. It's the same problem that VETS has. The universities were never built for black people. When you go to those lecture halls, they can only take 40 people. Now you have this institution accepting 10,000 with lecture halls that can only take 40 people. So those are the problems.
And let's talk about that, because one of the accusations that is coming from you as SASCO is the fact that, you know, the application, the registration process is a money-making scheme. We know that when students register, or at least they apply, there is a non-refundable fee. So you're having this invite. I mean, I heard from one of the young people who was part of that insert to say, you know what, if you only have space for 40,000, why are you taking on so many? So, I mean, I want to understand from you, are you accusing them of creating a money-making scheme instead of serving the interest of learners?
No, of course. Why do you open an application window period and allow students to come and apply? And at the end of the day, you tell them that, no, you do not qualify. You see, those targets set out by the Department of Higher Education and Training, they are the direct, deliberate attempt to deny our people access to education. Why do we have enrollment management policy in the University of South Africa? It's the biggest university in South Africa. And when our management, they are here in some podiums, you will hear them saying that the University of South Africa is the biggest university in Africa. We ask them that they must explain to us in not more than 5 lines, what do they mean when they say it is the biggest university in Africa? They mean in terms of money, they mean in terms of capacity, or they mean in terms of buildings. And clearly there's no answer coming from our management. We are saying University of South Africa, it is a distance learning institution. It must allow people of South Africa to enroll. How do you address the question of poverty if you deny them an access to education? How do you resolve or respond to the question of inequality if you deny them an access to education? So it is very important for Department of Higher Education to transform. That department on its own is an untransformed department, as Mcebo is saying.
Okay, so then we understand the grievances, we understand the challenges. Again, you guys have been at this. I mean, the Fees Must Fall was a phenomenon, but we're still back at square one. Yeah. How do we change this? How do we change this so that the narrative is different? Come 2020, we're not still talking about shutdowns and students not being accepted. How do we change this?
Well, look, the solution here is it's that of a political will. I think that the black government needs to have a political will. They have to invest on education. Education must be a priority in the country. And as much as we still think that building RDP houses is a solution to poverty and assisting the masses of our people, then we're going to continue having the same problem. We need... The institution needs infrastructure. You need to grow Wits University. You need to grow UJ. You need to expand UNISA so that you can accommodate the young people who are coming in. Universities must also take responsibility of their graduates. They must know whether their graduates are working or not. They must have a data of those graduates. So now it's a matter of funding and also government controlling the curriculum. The thing of academic freedom won't work in this country because countries are moving forward. China is innovating. China is inventing things. Where are we going as South Africa? With our education system, these young people who are going to be doing first year, what will they be studying? As black people, it's not about going to university anymore. It's about the causes that the black kids will be swallowing. Are they moving us forward as a country? We are talking of fourth industrial, revolution, but people are still doing anthropology. How are we going to move forward? Because our people must be doing engineering, they must be studying biomedical subjects so that we can make our own medication. Because one day, China will decide that they are closing down their medicines. We will die here. So we can't afford to do that.
We're definitely getting your point loud and clear. I mean, this is definitely an issue of transformation so that young people in this country are prepared for the future that they're supposed to own and take control over. You're watching Expressions, SABC One's #1 current affairs show. We'll be back right after this.
It's #1 and it's all interactive. We're on Facebook, Twitter, as well as every other social media platform. You're still watching Expressions. Now, we are talking this evening about student challenges in institutions of higher learning. Siyabuza, is higher education failing the needs of students? Now, I'm now joined in studio by Paula Sita, who's a prospective UNISA student who still needs funding, as well as Usimamgele Kani, who's chairperson of the EFF in the Tshwane region. Good evening and welcome to Expressions, guys.
Good evening.
Great to have you on the show. Now, I'm going to pick up from a statement that came through from the first segment that side, Simamgele. It was, once our students get into first year, what happens then? Do we have the structures that are put in place to ensure that they're able to cope? And do we have a system that's really failing Abafunda Bafana Nosisi?
No, actually, firstly, I think we must take this. Remember, I speak on the side of UNISA, for one. We must take this to back when a student is still in high school. The education system as a whole is failing us. There should be a transition that allows for students to adapt, firstly, to the life of now. I'm now going to be independent. But now there is no such with our education system. And I think that is done so deliberately. Hence, we find ourselves now in this situation where we are saying that students want to go to school, but the system is saying that no, they cannot. Because the system is created to deliberately cut down the numbers. The government is also has a role to play in this. They also take part in it because they are very lazy. They know that if the students graduate, then they'll fall under the pen of being unemployed. That is why now they prevent them actually getting a qualification, so that I have a qualification, but I am not, I'm unemployed. So, yes.
Sis Paula, when are you struggling with funding?
Yes.
I was touched with Tombeni story, Sako, just briefly.
Okay, so far I'm a student who passed my matric in 2013. In 2014, I went to TUT to study local government finance, but I never got funding then. I had to drop out at the end of the year because I couldn't get funding and I still owe the university. Then for the past few years, I've been trying to get a job. I thought I was going to save so that I can be able to go to UNISA, but then I was unable to save enough money. Then this year, I ended up resigning at my recent job. Told myself that I'm going to fight and get financial help. I've been trying to apply. So far, I was struggling with NFSAS. I tried to apply it for NFSAS online, only to find out I only created the account at NFSAS instead of applying. Then, even at UNISA, they never came back to me to tell me that they had gave me a response. No, yeah, they responded to me. So what happened is I had to go through Facebook pages of UNISA. I got a link whereby I used that link to check my acceptance offer. Then I found out that they gave me space. I did accept the offer, but right now I'm struggling with finances and stuff.
Position where you don't have funding.
Yes, yes.
Simamgele, this is clearly one of, the broader problems that we have. But let's speak to solutions here. What really needs to be done?
All right. Thank you very much. We are very much privileged today that we have the likes of Mcebo Dlamini here. We have Abo Kaya, we have Abo Amla, we have Abo Bongosi, who had the solution to this thing. All we said was free education. That is the only solution. There should be no student or family that must go to Mashonisas for a student to be able to go to school. Because now it's the same system that we are fighting to say that now the student immediately when they graduate, instead of feeding their family and advancing their family, they must now pay a loan shark. So it's clear, free education for all. We do not have a criteria of saying that who must be poor and who's not poor. Everyone is poor. If you're an African, you cannot afford. We have a system that destabilized us as Africans. And then we're now made to comply with it. But now there's a backlog. It means that we must be given the necessary support to be able to catch up with the system. We want to live in this space that we live in, but we need the necessary support. Therefore, give a black child education for free.
All right. Mcebo, perhaps we can also chip in on this. These are really huge problems that we encounter as well on the ground with young people like this. What do we do?
Well, the call was that of free education. And we still maintain that one. And then we were told that free education has been rolled out. But then how we were told, how NSFAS then comes into the picture was when we said to government, we want free education for all. Government said that they don't have money for all, but they have money for the poor. Now we then say, how are you going to determine the poor? Then they are saying they're going to use the same NSFAS requirements that were put in place. But those are the very same requirements that are failing us. NSFAS have been failing our people since time memorial, because through NSFAS itself, it subjects black students to abject poverty because you owe it till you die. Right. So those were the problems. Free education is the solution. And government can't roll out free education up until it controls the monopoly of universities, because VET increases fees as it pleases.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to hold it there quickly, because we quickly need to go on to the ad break. Again, Mbugeli Nawalaphikaya, do make sure that you stick with us, because as you can hear, we're getting all these solutions from our panelists. Remember to tell a friend, to phone a friend, that the hottest current affairs show is now showing. Back after this.
Welcome back. You're watching Expressions, and today we are talking about a very important, at least topical conversation, and we are discussing the challenges that students are facing in tertiary or higher institutions of learning. And the poll question that we're asking you this evening is higher education failing to meet the needs of the students? Now, guys, you're going to have to wrap this up. I mean, there's a lot that's been covered. But we know that even if we were to give every single student that is applying registration money and tuition money, there's still a capacity issue. Why are we not deviating to other forms or other modes of higher education, like TVETs, for instance?
Well, it is true, but before you can even push the kids to TVET colleges, you must have you've made TVET colleges to be lucrative. You must make those TVET colleges to be competent. For you to, whose child must go to TVET college? Are the children of the politicians going to TVET? Are the children of the ministers and the MECs going? They don't even take their children to public schools. Okay. They take their children to IEB. Then whose child must go to TVET?
So
because
clearly...
the TVETs themselves are not in the same level with the former technical universities.
Okay, so we get it. So you're saying there's a huge infrastructure problem. So we know that there are a lot of students who've been rejected. And I just want you to speak to some of them right now who are feeling despondent and hopeless because now they don't have acceptance at university. Please inspire them.
All right. As the NSRC of UNISA, we are diametrically opposed to any form of discrimination that, in whichever way it manifests itself. We are saying to the university, if they are going to create a wall between our demands and themselves, we are going to fight them head on. We are saying that they must accept those students. We know that we fought and they've created a space of 25,000 students and 17,000 students, to those who were doing a higher certificate. And this number is too small. We are saying everybody who qualifies to be a UNISA student, who meet minimum requirements, must be allowed an opportunity to study with UNISA.
So you're going to keep on fighting the good fight. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for coming to the show. All the best. Eh?
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Continue fighting for the students.
I will retire in, happy knowing that young people are taking over from where we left. I'm a veteran now.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And it's that time of the year where, Jackie, where students are battling with all of these issues. Yeah. And of course, Mbugeli Lapika, we always like to know what you'd like for us to discuss. Now, this is your suggestion for next week. Roll it.
Hi Expression, my name is Telos Tole, and I'd like you guys to talk about those youngsters, those matriculants that have passed their matric well, got accepted at varsity, but they don't have the registration fees. So what must happen to them? I'd like you guys to elaborate more on that, about their future endeavors.
I guess in Buzilege, is higher education failing to meet the needs of students? About 95% of you said yes, and just about 5% said no. Wow, clearly there's still many more conversations to go on that. Mbugeli Lapikaya sibonge kakhulu ukuthi ube nathi namhlanje kusihlwa. Now, of course, this player out by Master KG Nozandaza Guza this evening. Mbugeli, thank you so much for joining us. Nisale kahle.
Adios, bye-bye.
No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you home. No matter where you go, remember the road that will lead you home. That will lead you